So what is going on, guys? It's Triple G here, back with another Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about what is the best Harley Quinn build out there right now and how you can get up past mastery level 50 and beyond. But if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel or join me over on stream as I stream 6 times a week, and otherwise, let's get straight into this video. So as you can see from the footage here, we are in 60 plus territory in the masteries, and we are using a fire Harley build. Now this build is incredibly powerful and it uses a lot of gear focused items. So expect to be farming because we are going to be going after some of the best gear in the game. So we are going to go through the talent tree, but it's going to be mostly focused on this gear, and to get this gear you're going to need to farm the mastery levels. If you don't have a good build to farm the mastery levels, there is another build on my YouTube called Bang Harley that will get you through those early mastery levels until you can start getting all this notorious item stuff and the other gear that we talk about later on in the video. So first of all, here is the talent tree. Now I'm not going to go into every detail here. You can take a video screenshot of this if you need to, but essentially what we are doing here is we are going to try and take as much damage as possible and keep our combos up as much as possible as well. We don't need to focus too much on this here because again, this is a gear focused build. So the build is all about incendiary damage, or burning damage as it's called in this game. So the signature weapon that we are going to use is the Black Mask's Bulletstorm. If you can get it as the master variant, which is obviously the god roll variant, then please try and get that. But essentially what we're going to be doing here is every 3 enemies we hit within 6 seconds is going to create a fiery explosion that burns nearby enemies as well. This is absolutely critical for the build because this is going to synergize with our Heatwave's Molten Skin. Each enemy you burn that isn't already burning makes you invulnerable for 2 seconds and returns 10% of that damage received back to the attacker. Each additional enemy burned increases the duration by 2 seconds up to a maximum of 30. Now these 2 items obviously work in tandem with each other, but they are not the only things that are important for this build. The second most important thing is actually something that you get really on in the game, and this is Gizmo's actual infamy set. Now in order to do this you need to make sure you've completed all the support missions, but I'm going to presume as you're trying to push mastery level 50 that you know you've already done that. If we look at Gizmo's 2-piece bonus, you'll see that we have 50% damage dealt to burning enemies. Grenades do 50% less damage, but have a 100% chance to burn all enemies hit. When your shield is broken, you release a burst of Diablo Blaze that burns all enemies within 15 meters. This can only happen once every 30 seconds. Now, when you probably got this earlier on during the story, or whenever you decided to go and do those missions, you probably thought, that's okay, but not that great. But as we've discovered when farming through the mastery levels, that burn damage is also scaled with all the other skills that you have. So when you're playing particularly as Harley and you're boosting grenade damage and damage to burning enemies, suddenly all that damage starts to become very, very significant. The other items, we have a Titan's Tolerance here. This will give us, we will deal 4% more damage to an enemy for each 1% of the health that is missing. Now this is super important as well, because once we start getting dot damage for burning, you will see that will tick up. It only ticks 2 or 3 times, but when it does, they tick for huge numbers. And the difference between a few percent here and there makes millions of damage difference. The lucky charm we have gone for is Boomtown. Now the reason we've gone for Boomtown here is because we've just talked about the fact our grenade damage is buffed, and the tick damages from those grenades are where most of the damage is going to come from. So we're going to be using our Black Mask Bulletstorm to do a load of burn damage all over the field, but we're also going to be using our grenades to do even more burn damage. As we touched on earlier, the grenades are all going to burn every single person they hit. So we're going to want as many of these grenades going off on the field as possible, and the Boomtown does that by every time we get a critical hit, it increases the chance of a grenade going off, and then once it's gone off, there is a 20-second cooldown. We also have a minigun in the second slot here, which is the bullet propelled grenade, which has the same effect. Critical hits spawn a live grenade at the enemy's feet. This grenade does an additional 100% more damage when it explodes, and this can only happen once every 30 seconds. So we're going to be using the Black Mass Bulletstorm, and we're going to be watching our cooldown on this. And then when we need to, we'll be switching to the minigun, hitting an enemy until it's procced off, and then switching back to our Black Mass Bulletstorm and making everybody on the field on fire. Now, the final thing that we are using here is a two-phase Persuader. Now, if you want to, you can change the Venom Frenzy to a Blaze Frenzy if you want to. But I was testing Terror Behind the Mask here, which technically says that when you craze somebody, they will deal 500% more damage, and then you will deal 500% more damage as well. But I wasn't getting this working. Ideally, what I would like to do is hit a sniper that is out of the way. He stays up forever, and then I have that additional 500% damage, but we just could not get that going. Now, those are the items themselves, but you will need to elite and then re-roll items in order to get the maximum damage output. As you can see from the playstyle here, we are dealing millions and millions of dot damage as we are going through. That is only possible by re-rolling each individual stat on every item that you're using. We are looking for damage against burning enemies. We are looking for grenade damage. We're looking for damage against grunts, damage against brutes. We're looking for damage anywhere that we can against burning enemies in particular, and then critical hit damage as well if you can't pick anything else. Don't forget as well, if you're running 2 miniguns, your second slot can act as a stat stick and will boost up even further. Another thing to mention here is the squad skills. If you don't know how the squad skills work, you need to level up all the characters in order to get further down the tree here. But getting further down does actually have a huge benefit. Well, the first thing is that you have a 1% damage to brute enemies in this thing. You want to go for a full 20 here. Now, a lot of people are tempted to put these into the actual weapons themselves, but you want to get a 0.5 weapon damage here, whereas you get a straight percentage per point here, which is far more valuable early on. So we're going to be taking damage against the brutes, damage against the grunts. We want a grenade chance as well, just in case that we do run out of grenades. And then finally, we're going for a little bit of damage. We're at 50 combo. Once I have unlocked Deadshot, we are going to be adding damage to burning enemies as well, and we'll probably take that grenade chance down a little bit in order to max that thing out first. In terms of the playstyle, it's really simple. Now, from the skill tree, we have more damage when we are airborne. So when we're going to be going around, we want to make sure that we're hitting 3 enemies quickly. If you find that you have a platform or only 2 enemies, find another enemy. If you can't find another enemy, throw a grenade. If they don't have a grenade, switch to your minigun and get that grenade proc, or hit a crit and get that grenade pop. All the damage from this build is from the dot damage. If you fire your minigun at anybody, you are not going to do much at all. You are just using it as the proc for the crits and absolutely plastering the field so that you can set the world on fire. As you can see here, this build has made it into the top 10, so don't forget that you can go into the social screens and use this build as one of your bots to help you climb up the mastery ranks as well. Guys, that's it for today's video. If you have enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, or join me over on YouTube and Twitch as I stream 6 times a week, and otherwise I'll catch you on the flip.